When you think of Tupac Shakur, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably the bandana, right? The thug life tattoo. The face of that whole East Coast, West Coast rap war. But what if I told you that image, the one that's basically burned into our collective memory, doesn't even scratch the surface of the real story?
You hear lyrics like this from his very first album, and you get it. These weren't just lines in a song. Nope, they became headlines. They lit a political fire that went all the way up to the highest levels of government and pretty much cemented his public image as this dangerous gangster rapper.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Was that defiant, aggressive persona the whole truth? Or was there a completely different person hiding behind all those headlines? To really find the answer, we got to go all the way back to the beginning. Because Tupac's story, well, it doesn't kick off in a recording studio. It starts right in the heart of a revolution.
See, the absolute key to understanding him is his mother, Tupac Shakur. She wasn't just a parent, she was a leader in the New York chapter of the Black Panther Party. And Tupac's entrance into this world was every bit as dramatic as the movement she was fighting for.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It shows you how incredible his origins really were. In '69, Afeni gets arrested with 20 other Panthers, facing something like 300 years in prison. And get this, she defended herself in court while pregnant with Tupac. And then, just 1 month after she was acquitted of every single charge, he was born. He wasn't just the son of a revolutionary, he was literally born from the struggle.
And that upbringing, it shaped everything about him. Afeni's idea of punishment wasn't grounding him, no. She would make him read the entire New York Times, cover to cover, and then discuss it with her. What started as discipline actually sparked this lifelong passion for reading and for thinking critically about the world.
So while his foundation was super political, that activism was paired with this whole other side of him that often gets completely overlooked, his passion for the arts.
And this slide right here, it just perfectly captures that disconnect between the public myth and his private reality. While the world was seeing a gangster rapper, Tupac was at the prestigious Baltimore School for the Arts. While the media was slapping the label thug on him, he was at home writing sensitive poetry. And while they were painting him as uneducated, he was studying Shakespeare and starring in plays like A Raisin in the Sun.
His teachers saw this incredible talent in him. His theater instructor said he had this natural gift for Shakespeare, explaining it was simply because he loved the words. This was a young man with a really complex inner life, a world away from the one-dimensional character the world was about to meet.
So how in the world did this poet and actor become the media's #1 villain? Well, it's what happens when a complex identity collides with society that is desperately looking for a simple target.
It was a classic case of what sociologists call a moral panic. Back in the early 90s, gangster rap was being framed as this major threat to American values. And Tupac, with his revolutionary background and his totally unapologetic lyrics, was basically cast as the perfect villain for the story.
The condemnation came fast, and it was severe. After a state trooper was killed by a man who happened to own Tupac's album, Vice President Dan Quayle went on TV and declared that music like Tupacalypse Now had no place in our society. And just like that, the narrative was set. Tupac wasn't an artist, he was a threat.
But here's where the story gets even more complex. A deep dive into the actual media coverage from when he was alive reveals a picture that, well, it really challenges that simple narrative of a white establishment versus a black artist.
So, a content analysis of newspapers from that time found something nobody expected. African-American publications were actually more likely to run negative stories about him. While the big national papers were focused on the political controversy, black papers were often criticizing his lifestyle and his lyrics, worried that he was representing the community in a negative light. The criticism was coming at him from all sides.
It was really only after his tragic death in 1996 that the entire narrative began to shift dramatically, transforming him from that societal threat into a true cultural icon.
It's this phenomenon we see so often with artists who die young. It's like a kind of cultural resurrection. All the messy, complicated parts of their lives just get smoothed over as this new, cleaner story emerges. For Tupac, he was reborn as the misunderstood poet, the martyred prophet who spoke truth to power.
And this legacy wasn't an accident. It was carefully built, and largely by his mother, Afeni. She established the first ever formal estate for a rapper, preserving his work. The albums that came out after his death, they outsold everything he released when he was alive. His poetry became a bestseller. Finally,
the son of a panther and the student of Shakespeare, was being seen in his full complexity. Tupac's story is such a powerful lesson in how we create myths. A real, complicated human being, a poet, an actor, a revolutionary's son, was completely flattened into a caricature just to serve a media narrative. And it really makes you wonder, in our own hyper-polarized world right now, whose story are we getting wrong today?